And Jack for Cultaholic on a Monday morning. Jack is a happy camper this morning, aren't you, sir?
Yeah. Sunderland won the Papa John's trophy. I ordered a Papa John's afterwards to celebrate. And I was asleep by like 9:30. It knocked me out completely. They don't mess about. They don't mess about with their crusts. It was a weighty meal. God.
I believe that is their slogan. Papa John's, we don't mess about with our crusts.
Yeah.
This video is sponsored by Papa Crust's Shadow Legends. So well done to Sunderland yesterday. Jack's happy. Is Vince, though? You know the answer. Let's find out. Here is the wrestling news. Vince McMahon is unhappy with WWE talent behavior. We have an update on plans for the WWE Hall of Fame. And wait right till you see this Raw star's incredible transformation. We'll get to it in a bit. Starting off with news of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He is not a happy camper. He hasn't been like the happiest of campers for the past 12 months plus, really, has he, Jack?
No, but in this instance, you know what? I'm on his side. I think I'm actually on Vince McMahon's side on an issue involving a relationship between him and the talent, which is unheard of. But what's happened here then, Tom?
So, Fightful Select reporting that Vince McMahon has gotten particular about wrestler safety during the pandemic, and he's unhappy because there have been pictures that have appeared of a wrestler and or a staff member at Disney theme parks walking around unmasked. This photo landed under the nose of Vince McMahon, and this has led to Vince McMahon sending quite a few angry messages and getting quite annoyed about the whole thing. He's made it clear that he wants wrestlers taking more precautions as a result of the risks that COVID-19 brings. That doesn't just mean getting tested when you come to the Thunderdome or at the CWC. He means just beyond there. It was also reported by Fightful Select that it was in the run-up to the Super Bowl, there were requests from wrestlers to not attend events around the Super Bowl, or if you were, please wear a mask when you do so. They was keen to dissuade wrestlers and talent from doing anything like that at all. So with the wrestlers, that's what's going on. But with the staff, this comes from Fightful Select as well, who say, quote, there have also been instances of staffers having their responsibilities reduced after photos of them emerged out and about without masks.
Wow. Part of me would like to think that this is Vince doing so out of a concern for the health and the well-being of his employees or his independent contractors also. The skeptical part of my brain is thinking, is this because WrestleMania is on the horizon and he wants that all to go off without a hitch and he wants to make loads of money? And I don't know. We don't know which one it is or whether it's a mixture of both.
I think it's a bit of that. I also think that Vince sees it as a PR issue. Right. Whereby if there are... I mean, with wrestlers being seen out and about without masks, there have been occasions where it has all kicked off around that. And consequently, Vince is saying, look, if you just wear masks, it saves a bit of a PR issue on our side. I can see Vince McMahon certainly wanting to do it more so. I'm not saying he doesn't want his wrestlers, he doesn't want his wrestlers to get ill. Absolutely. But I can see it more being a bit of a PR issue around in the run up to WrestleMania. Like, he doesn't want wrestlers being seen out and about not wearing masks and the social media backlash that can come from that, which we've seen. And I think but then, as you say, it's WrestleMania in a couple of weeks' time. Please, everybody, stay well. Please stay well as we get closer to it.
Especially when last year, obviously, Roman Reigns wisely decided not to show up because he was concerned about, obviously being somebody who'd recently recovered from leukemia. He's wanting to keep himself safe as much as possible. And I totally agree with that. But maybe Vince this year is thinking, I really want to avoid that sort of thing happening again. I don't want one of my top stars to just suddenly decide, well, I can't be involved with this.
Absolutely. So that is a concern, I think, for Vince McMahon on that front, which is part of the reason why he's been unhappy with some of the talent behaviour in the last few weeks and such. Looking ahead to WrestleMania week, which we have been talking about, the Hall of Fame is one part of that mammoth week. Sam and I, Jack, we went through the 8 days that we've got for WrestleMania, and all leave is cancelled. It's gonna be a heck of a time, and there's a Tuesday that's blocked out for the WWE Hall of Fame. What do Fightful say that's going to look like, Jack?
Well, they've said that this Hall of Fame class is going to include 2020 and 2021 because obviously last year's Hall of Fame was cancelled, which has led many people to speculate what kind of runtime this is going to result in. Often the Hall of Fame ceremony gets, I don't know if criticism is the right word, but it's often notable how long the ceremony stretches on for and how long certain speeches are and that sort of thing. So a lot of people are thinking, how is this going to impact the show itself? It's not the only thing that is going to be maybe different. People are again speculating. So Fightful have said that sources have indicated to them this week that the plan was for the plan as of Molly Holly's Hall of Fame announcement was to pre-tape the show in some capacity, which isn't ideal, but something that apparently WWE realizes is probably best for the time being. So it seems as though the two big takeaways here are it's going to include the classes of 2020 and 2021, and also it could well be pre-taped.
I think it has to be if you're going to get that many people in there as well. I mean, a regular run-of-the-mill Hall of Fame is prone to overrunning at the best of times. You're doing two Hall of Fames back-to-back, and there is the risk that could easily, if live, go about 8 hours. When you consider some of the people in the 2020 Hall of Fame, we haven't even started announcing for 2021 yet. Like some of the names in that are going to want the time to tell stories. So I guess truncating it and making it a shorter Hall of Fame, I think is going to make more sense. How do you think it's going to look? I'm pretty sure this will be a Thunderdome job, won't it?
Yeah, I agreed with a lot of people when they were suggesting that. But now that it could be pre-taped, I guess all bets are off, really. It could take any form. I think you're right. I think probably the body of the show will take place in the Thunderdome. But then we might see some cool, video editing wizardry. We might see some cool transitions and that sort of thing. We could see any manner of... It could really transform what we come to expect from the Hall of Fame.
Are we suggesting like they'll use special effects? Like they'll have people like beamed in?
Yeah.
Teleported into the Hall of Fame?
They'll burst up from the canvas in 3D and it'll look awesome. No, I don't know. I just think that we might see some particularly slick video packaging and that sort of thing.
I like the sound of that. It's all part of WrestleMania week. Tickets for WrestleMania go on sale this week. Ticketmaster have given us some details about the tickets that people are buying. I've got the details from Ticketmaster.com here. So if you are one of those looking to get in there to be a part of WrestleMania this week, this is what Ticketmaster say. These events use seating in pods of 1 to 6 people per pod. Pods must be purchased in their entirety and may not be divided. Tickets in a pod may not be sold or transferred to anyone other than family or trusted acquaintances who have chosen to attend the live event together, unless all such tickets, i.e. the full pod, are being sold or transferred to one party. Unless otherwise exempt by law, guests must wear a face covering. Local venue rules apply. Ticketmaster's also listing that WrestleMania the doors for Raymond James are going to be opening on WrestleMania nights 1 and 2 at 4:30 p.m. local time, with a start time for around about 6:30. WWE has said previously that WrestleMania night 1 and 2 will run from 7 till 10 p.m. each night. So if you are going, get there early, because it's going to take much longer to get into the building than normal, with social distancing and such all in place. I mean, your experience from being a part of a WrestleMania, what's it like getting into the building normally, Jack?
It was different both times. So in Dallas for WrestleMania 32, it was a really hot day, and I don't know what happened. There was some sort of issue maybe with the ticket scanning on certain gates, and it took people quite a lot longer to get in than a lot of people were expecting. So I think we just happily and luckily were in one of the sections that sorted out their issue pretty fast. And I remember people started chanting, "Let us in," and we got in finally, and watched Ryback versus Kalisto on the pre-show in front of a largely empty AT&T Stadium. It was really surreal. The next year, I think that went a lot more straightforwardly in Orlando. But yeah, I guess the moral here is, if you're going, obviously stay safe, respect the pod system, and maybe turn up early just to be safe.
Better safe than indeed sorry. Over on Twitter over the last couple of days, it's been kicking off between Miro and Jim Cornette. What's the story here, Jack?
Jim Cornette, right? I understand that historically in wrestling, if he was to just do it properly, he would be such an invaluable source of constructive criticism. If he was to rein in his arsiness, I think that he could be really valuable a lot of the time, but he lets personal bias get in the way. He's on a very strong anti-AEW agenda, and quite often, as has been seen in the past couple of days, he crosses the line, and he has so here with Penelope Ford. I don't know if we're allowed to repeat the word that he said or risk demonetization.
Let's not risk demonetization,
okay, right.
But it was a slur. It was a slur.
It wasn't cool at all. Miro replied on Twitter. Obviously, Miro very close with Penelope Ford because he's close friends with both her and Kip Sabian, and they work together in AEW. He said, "If you call Penelope that again, I'll come like God's wrath on you. You understand? I'll personally drive you to your basement." People like Jim Cornette bring not only pro wrestling down, but young women and men get abused and name called for 40 views on YouTube. It is true when someone like Cornette does that, and I'm all for freedom of speech and everything. But you also have to understand that if you've got a big audience behind you, if you target someone specifically, that's going to bring in a wave of hate from a lot of people who just want to please you and impress you and look cool to you without thinking about the toll that could take on the target in question, if you know what I mean. And then also, Miro said, "I hope you never have a daughter that a pervert old man will call her that word." So Miro getting quite angry there. Cornette then responded, referring to Miro as Bluto, the villain from Popeye, which seems to be what he thinks of Miro's heel run in AEW so far. He said that somebody that's known me for a while better sit down and tell you why you're making a drastic error trying to joust with me before I make you wish you'd never tried to learn English. You're a toothless lamb about to annoy a wolf, and I just want you to be aware of your peril, which can't be serious because look at Miro. I mean, look at him, Tom. He's a huge, big boy.
I mean, I think it's brave for Jim to certainly say that to Miro, I think. He actually has gone on to say that he's not going to say any more about it on Twitter, and he'll talk about it on his podcast tomorrow.
And there's the root of it. That's where it is, isn't it? Yeah. I really genuinely doubt that he actually has such hate for Penelope Ford and Miro and whoever. I think he's in the wrestling business, isn't he? It's all a gimmick. It's all an act to get people to listen to him and to make more money for him.
He does have a habit of being able to rile people up in a certain way, does Jim Cornette. In an unrelated note, this Wednesday on the Cultaholic podcast feed, Desert Island Craps with Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret. Completely unrelated to that. That's happening on Wednesday, by the way.
That should be a fantastic episode. It
was a joy, deep joy to have a chat with Brian yesterday.
He's a great guy. Yeah,
he's flipping lovely. You'll hear it Wednesday. We had a great time. And finally, this is... by now, I think Owen's probably put the picture down there so you can see a beefcake between Jack and myself. So it's a beefcake between two beefcakes.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, looks eerily familiar. Who's that Pokemon, Jack?
It's Humberto Carrillo.
Carrillo.
Who we haven't seen on Raw this year so far, but. I mean, this is what he's been up to. We don't know why he's been off TV. People obviously disappear from TV for various reasons, whether they've been forgotten about or there's other stuff. I mean, Aleister Black's the prime example. Carrillo's another one who hasn't been seen for quite a long time. But, I mean, look at that transformation. He looks absolutely huge. And I don't know what to think of it, Tom. Because Humberto Carrillo, agile, flippy, pretty boy, just classic babyface. Well, is this gonna make him wrestling in a different way, do you think?
Oh, I think it'll change up his style. I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Do you know what? If he can sort of walk that line between being the strong guy and still like an athletic, high-flying guy, then the world is going to be Carrillo's oyster here.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with how Carrillo looked before, by the way. Emphasize that. Like, handsome guy. I was a big fan. I'm a big fan of Carrillo's work, and I think there's loads to... But this change really surprised me. He's clearly been off Monday Night Raw caring for his animals, because his swans are really sick.
Oh, no.
Got that in there for a Monday morning. Check out that picture on Instagram.
Oh, I've got to plug something as well. Humberto Carrillo has asked us to plug his gun show, which is...
If you ask Humberto Carrillo for directions to the airport, you'll go, yes, you're over there. Carrillo...
I've never been in a gym in my life, Tom. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know someone called Jim.
Nice, yeah, that's good. That's good enough. That's close.
More news later. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.